Welcome back, football fanatics, and happy holidays from the First and 10 Club. I'm your host, Mark D, and week 13 is done, finally. For most fantasy season long, regular seasons are also done. And now it's time for that playoff push in both the NFL and, of course, fantasy too. So let's recap. 3-1 last week on my show picks. Not bad. Better, 12-3 for the whole week. Two of my bold predictions came to be. So, without further ado, let's start taking a look at last week as we're doing only one show throughout the rest of the NFL season. Frank Reich, please take notice and feed Taylor the ball. 125 touch, beautiful last week. Love that bold prediction. The Rook came through. The football team, my team, the Washington football team, formerly known as the Redskins, just so I can say it. They did what no one else could do so far this season. They beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't believe it was a fluke. Steelers fans that are out there, they can whine and complain all they want. But the fact of the matter is Washington actually has a really, really good defense. Things are starting to come together for them right now. And as long as the offense doesn't cost them the game, which they've done quite a few times this season, I do believe Washington can make a little bit of a run here. I'm excited to see how the season finishes for them. That culture change that Ron Rivera said he was going to bring to the franchise is starting to become evident. And you know what? The thing that I am so excited about, and the thing that I absolutely love more than anything, is watching Chase Young, not on the football field, but cheer his teammates on. If you ever get a chance, take notice. There's highlights that are out there of him. When offensive plays happen, big offensive plays, that fool is running down the sideline, cheering, hooting, and hollering, and that's awesome to see. Absolutely is a franchise building block for Washington. Great pick with the number 2 overall. So, moving on, let's talk about some of the other teams this year. The Bears, the Chicago Bears, the Bears, they almost fooled me. They started out wonderful, and I don't know what they did to karma and the world and how that works, but it has tilted back. They just look hapless. It's not just Trubisky. It's not Foles. It's the whole offense of that team, and you really have to worry at this point. We've talked about coaches that are on the hot seat. I'm starting to find it really difficult to see how Nagy retains that job. It'll be interesting. If he does, absolutely, he's coming into next season, basically standing in the fire. The Detroit Lions, you get the coaching change. I don't think a whole lot was expected from the team. And sometimes when there's no expectations, that's when you come out and surprise. But I wouldn't expect that in bunches the rest of the way for Detroit. I think Detroit comes back down to earth this week. But the Jets win. Oh, no, they didn't. They almost won. Probably should have won. But they didn't. Last second play. Carter Ruggs, which made my kind of prediction for Ruggs look a little bit relevant. Thank you. But I can't even really take credit for that one. Ruggs really, again, was quiet until that last play. But the good news here, the firing finally came in New York. It's over. Or it's not. Adam Gase fired Greg Williams and said that they can't have things like that happen. Well, okay. I don't know what Greg Williams was doing calling that blitz on the last play of the game. But to correct Adam Gase, things like that have been happening all season to the New York Jets. That's why you have not won a game yet. So for him to pass off like Greg Williams was the problem, you should check yourself, Gase, because you're just a placeholder, and I can't imagine you have a job after the season. I think you know that. You've been bad. Santa's bringing you coal. And in all honesty, you really shouldn't be that upset with Greg Williams because he protected the fact that you still have the number 1 pick. And that might be the best thing going for the New York Jets right now. Talking about other teams that are going with rookie quarterbacks are kind of turning things around and in the transition. You had the Miami Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins, the whole tanking for Tua last year, which towards the end of the season start to come on, but they still ended up getting Tua due to the injury. But I'm still confused by it. I just don't get why they're going with him right now. And it's not a knock on him. I just think that he's still a little raw. There's again with COVID, there's no off season. And it's very evident when he's on the field. And it'd be different if you had a quarterback that was just costing you games. But Ryan Fitzpatrick had them contending before he was benched. We all know that Fitzmagic, has been that force sometimes that gets teams going. And I really honestly say this in truth, and I'm not a Miami fan, but it would be a shame because they're right there. They're right in the thick of it in the wild card hunt. I don't think they have a chance in hell of catching Buffalo for the division, but I do think they have a chance at a wild card. And it really would be a shame to see that happen or that not happen because Tua is struggling. Getting those, getting his legs underneath them and having those aches and pains as, a rookie. So I'm just a little kind of confused by that. Rams, wow. Talking about teams that are moving forward, take over the division with a very convincing win. They really are looking like a strong team. A little bit of foreshadowing. I'll get to it when we get to our game picks tonight for the Thursday night game. But real strong team. Really excited to watch them play tonight on Thursday Night Football. And like I said, they're in first place, and that's thanks to a very, very surprising win from the not the Washington Redskins, from the New York Giants, who were led by former Redskin Colt McCoy and former Redskin Albert Morris to a win over the Seattle Seahawks. What is going on in Seattle? Uh, Russell Wilson and really the whole team just could not get anything going against the New York Giants. So now you beg the question is really, who are these Giants with a backup quarterback, with backup running backs? The defense really is starting to come together. The offensive line, since Roman took a swing at Judge, really starting to put it together. Thank you, offensive line coach, for going all gladiator. But I think that ended up being maybe the turning point. That we talk about these catalyst things that spark teams, and Giants look dangerous right now. So that'll be interesting to see how that all kind of plays out. Green Bay adds another nail in the coffin to the Philadelphia Eagles, and we're going to talk more about the Eagles then a little bit later on in the show. But Green Bay, they're just a juggernaut. They really are. I don't see how you can um, not be able to recognize right now that they are probably they might be the force in the NFC right now. I don't know the way teams stand right now. If there's a team from the litmus test, looking what my eyes can see, I don't think there's a team right now that can overtake Green Bay in the NFC. I really don't. Um, I could be wrong, and again, it's any given Sunday. Again, I'm talking right now, so I'm talking about the New Orleans Saints, who have a phenomenal team, but I don't believe that they're beating Green Bay with Taysom Hill at quarterback. Now, Drew Brees is expected back, but he's not there yet. Tampa Bay, Tampa Bay should. Tampa Bay should be so much better than they actually are right now. And it's really weird to say that you think that it's Antonio Brown that's cost them this. Um, I'm really curious to see how Tampa Bay plays coming out of their bye. Uh, did that bye allow them to start to build chemistry with those three wide receivers? And I think if they don't come out on fire against Minnesota, and I do mean on fire, then you really have to start to wonder really if Tampa Bay is going to have enough there to really make any type of significant run. Getting into the other late games of the week, the Bills make an absolute statement, shutting down the San Francisco 49ers. The defense of San Francisco is supposed to be their strength right now, and primarily that's due to injuries. But whether it was the play calling, defensive breakdowns, just Josh Allen being able to buy time until people got open, there are people standing wide open, and Josh Allen did not have a problem hitting them. So the Bills make a statement win there. The Bills are, I honestly believe the Bills are a top 4 team right now in the NFL. I believe Allen is starting to get it together. I think they're getting that running game going. The defense is gelling. The Bills, really, I believe, are a force in the NFL. Um, then the other game, Dallas versus Baltimore, and Baltimore wins. The funniest thing about this is what actually happened on the field. The game itself is not even the um, biggest storyline from this game. Baltimore coming into this game, having being ravaged, the whole Thanksgiving week issue with COVID, Des Bryant tests positive for COVID-19 and quits. He just quits. Says I can't take this. I'm not dealing this. I'm done. Like, wasn't it 2, 3 weeks ago that he's posting all over that he's so thankful and blessed for this opportunity to come back into the league, and he quits. It's just comical to me. Um, we talk about players not being willing to let it go and knowing when to leave. Well, Des, you should have left when you left. I know you think you can still play, but ego, buddy. Just ego. Like, this does not look good on you. It really doesn't. You have an opportunity to come back, and you have a team. Like, these athletes, I think sometimes forget. Whatever the opportunity is, like, the team is counting on them, but yet you think it's all about Des. Look, the world is dealing with COVID right now. So enjoy quitting. Enjoy, I guess, retirement, because I can't imagine another team taking a chance or even giving you another chance. But and then my last thoughts for week 13. And I was dead wrong on this game. Absolutely dead wrong on this game. And I knew the narrative. I knew Bill Belichick's track record against rookie quarterbacks. First time seeing them. And I just thought, you know what? It's a different New England team this year. And Herbert is just defying the odds. He's been throwing the ball. Oh my God. Where did that New England team come from? They shut down the LA Chargers, just shut them down. They never stood a chance. It was almost like Bill Belichick knew what Justin Herbert was doing before Justin Herbert knew what he was doing. Wow, what an ass whooping. Said a bad word. YouTube, don't censor me. It's the holidays. Come on. But back to the games. Yeah, New England just decimated them. And I hope they really enjoyed that, because I honestly believe with 100% that stops. You're not going to see that type of game again from New England. But it was good to see it. Special teams, wow. Special teams and defense, just played an incredible role. So, like I said, we're only doing one show this week. So, with that being said, we're going to get into who we like and don't like, because it's playoff time. And look, there is just a couple of really clear facts for this week. And one, your big name wide receivers are going to make or break your season this week. DK Metcalf is facing the Jets. If Russell Wilson ever needed a game to get healthy, here it is. Let Russ cook. And I hope they do, because maybe it gets that mojo falling for him again that was talked about him being an MVP. Let Russ cook. DK Metcalf is in an absolute spot to destroy Lamar Jackson. I'm not talking about the quarterback from Baltimore. I'm talking about the undrafted corner from Nebraska. DK is going to eat. I think Deontay Johnson has a big week this week. I think Keenan Allen has a monster week this week. I think one Devontae Adams has a monster week this week. I think one Allen Robinson has a monster week this week. You're talking the big dogs. The big dogs, the people that have got you here, they are going to smash this week. Defenses that I love this week: Cleveland, Washington, New Orleans. New Orleans is a gimme. Absolute gimme. They get Jalen Hurts from Philadelphia with no offensive line? It's almost too easy. Washington's defense really starting to come on. They get to deal with Nick Mullins. I think they're going to be opportunistic. I don't think it's going to be necessarily a dominant performance, but I believe they will be opportunistic. And Cleveland, well, here we go. Cleveland, this is where you get to show if you are or aren't a changed team. You got Baltimore this week, but I think your defense can do it. Lamar is playing a little bit off. Players are still been out because of COVID. This is a week where you need to make that statement win. I really do. I have a good feeling about Cleveland this week. Quarterbacks, I'm going back to Herbert. There's absolutely no reason he does not have a monster bounce back week. And of course, it's just too easy. Russell Wilson, like I said, if there's ever a chance for him to have a get right game against the New York Jets, their secondary is atrocious. Wilson, DK, just absolutely lock it, get him in there. Running backs I love this week. Really a different list and names I have not ever said before, I think, on this show. One, love me some Stone Hands Montgomery. I love Montgomery from the Bears this week. Absolutely. Get him in your lineup. I also love Melvin Gordon. Melvin Gordon, which you might not know, is Carolina right now, which is who Denver is playing, uh, is being ravaged by COVID. They're the team this week that's getting hit. Um, and Brown, their stud defensive tackle, who really has been the only good thing about their run defense, is most likely out. I believe he's listed as doubtful right now. Missed last week's game. All signs are pointing to he's going to miss again. That just opens the door for Melvin Gordon to continue where he left off last week. And then third, one of the biggest blows that happened to the Washington football team is Antonio Gibson apparently left last week. Not apparently, did leave last week's game with a turf toe injury. Apparently, is not seeming to be clearing up. Now, he has had a couple of good days with the trainer, so it does kind of bear watching. But if Antonio Gibson is completely out, McKissick, absolutely fire up McKissick. He's guaranteed to give you at least 5 to 6 catches. It's about as safe as a play as you can get, and he absolutely has such a high ceiling. Catching the ball in the backfield. Moving on to staying in that game, moving on to the tight end position. I love both tight ends in this game. I love Logan Thomas. He is starting to really form into oh God, I almost said it, a league winning tight end. I almost said elite. He's getting commanding target share. He's making good with those the opportunities that he's getting. And then there's the other tight end. And I don't necessarily know it's a revenge game, but it is against his old team. There's a narrative. Jordan Reed against Washington. I'm putting it out there right now. It's not one of my bold predictions, but I'm going to say it right now. Jordan Reed scores a touchdown this week against Washington. And then the last one I'm going to go to because, well, let's face it, they are probably the worst, absolute worst team against the tight end. You have the Dallas Cowboys facing the Cincinnati Bengals. Oh, what a yawn this game is going to be. But I do love me some Dalton Schultz this week. One, Andy Dalton just loves throwing to him, and two, Cincinnati does not like covering tight ends, any tight end. So that's my targets for the week. That's absolutely where I'm going, who I'm looking at. Where I'm avoiding this week. Well, I'm steering away from New England. I'm not chasing the points. New England's defense against the Rams tonight, I'm running in the opposite direction. I really am. I am running in the opposite direction. I think the only player that I would be interested in from New England tonight is one James White. I think it's a James White night. They're going to be playing from behind, catching the ball out of the backfield. I just have a good feeling about Jimmy White. The Miami Dolphins, just not feeling it this week. I'm really not. I know you have Xavier Howard, and yes, you might get an interception out of it, but I just don't like it. Again, we're talking playoffs. We're talking about making that next big step. Quarterbacks, I don't like this week. Whoever is starting for New England, whether that ends up being Cam Newton through the whole game, or if Jared Stidham comes in, or they rotate, or whatever, I'm out. I'm out. I'm out on New England. And I'm also out on one Jalen Hurts. One you should not even be considering in season long. And there has to be better options. Has to be. Unless you are in a super flex league, there has to be better options out there than playing Jalen Hurts this week. Uh, it's going to be bad. I really do. I think he is going to struggle immensely in his first week against New Orleans. Um, the fact of the matter is, prior to the last couple weeks, Doug Peterson wasn't even letting him throw the ball. Like there was never even a chance of it when he was in the game. It was a run, an RPO. That's all it was. It was a run play option, run pass option. Uh, Now all of a sudden he's your starting quarterback. Like how does that work? And it's not that you don't see that touch, you don't see that finesse ball. You just kind of see him kind of running for his life and throwing. And I think that's what it is. I think right now the way he's seeing the field, and maybe it's a little different that he had a whole week of practice with the ones, but I don't see the spark. I don't see it coming. I'm stay far away. Running backs that I'm out on this week. Now look, I'm going to make this very, very clear to you. If you have these guys in season long leagues, you have to start them. You cannot avoid them. However, for daily, I am fading them. And that is one Dalvin Cook and one Carson from Seattle. The Jets are good against the run. You know who else is good against the run? Tampa Bay. I also think it's going to be a shootout in Tampa Bay. Now, Cook and Carson might both get a little bit of value catching, the ball out of the backfield. But if you're playing daily fantasy, there are much better options, cheaper options out there. Stay away from these two backs. Absolutely stay away from these two backs. And if you want to pay up for running back this week, it's absolutely a Derrick Henry week. Absolutely a Derrick Henry week. When I said players that I like, just because I didn't say Derrick Henry does not mean I don't think he's going to absolutely smash this week, and you'll see what I mean in a little bit. Wide receivers, I'm staying away from this week. Tyreek Hill, not doing it. Yeah, not. I just can't. He is going to face Xavier Howard this week against Miami, and I just can't. I that Dolphins defense, I believe, is just going to limit him. This is going to be one of those weeks. It's going to be that letdown week. And unfortunately, again, season long, you got to play him. But this is one of those things that you have to roll with this guy. And I can see this being a week where he disappears. And I'm sorry, fantasy owners out there, if that does happen. Jacoby Myers, yeah, um, you're going to get to meet Mr. Ramsey tonight. Good luck. That's all I can say. Good luck. And then Marvin Jones for Detroit. I think Matt Stafford can throw the ball enough to keep the game competitive. Keep Aaron Rodgers throwing the ball, but it ain't going to be through Marvin Jones. I think you're going to see Marvin Hall. You're going to see T.J. Hawkinson maybe, but not Marvin Jones. Not a Marvin Jones week. Tight ends that I'm out on this week. I believe actually these were the tight ends I was on last week, and I'm just got to fade him this week. You have Waller had a massive week. Don't chase the points. He's going up against the Colts. The Colts do not let tight ends beat them. And Waller, you're good, but I don't see that being changed. So if you're expecting that 50-point week, it's not going to happen. And Goddard, it's the Philly thing. Another running back that I'm out on this week. Really, the entire Philly offense. I just, if you have to start Philly players this week for playoffs, I'm sorry. I just don't expect it to be a big week. I think it's going to be a struggle. So that's the players I'm in and out on this week. Let's get to my bold predictions. So I got some pretty good ones. It's the holiday season, right? You got to come up with some big gifts. So my first one, well, it's not a gift, unfortunately, unless you are a Buffalo Bills fan. The Steelers dropped 2 in a row. I just see it happening. I really do. The same things that gave the Pittsburgh Steelers kind of fits, the Buffalo Bills can do too. And on top of that, they got to catch passes. Like, what's with all of a sudden the case of the dropsies from the Pittsburgh wide receivers? That doesn't get fixed. It's going to be a long rest of the season for Pittsburgh. This could be more than 2 losses that they see. Um, But with that said, I do. I think Pittsburgh drops 2 in a row this week. So that's an extra game pick, even though it's not in there. But I think the Bills come out on top. I talked about one, Derek King Henry. Ooh, did he not have a great week last week? However, that gets rectified this week when I expect to see him put up 150 on the ground, not through the air. I'm talking 150 ground yards, and count them, uno, dos, tres, 3 TDs in week 14. So if you have him for your playoff run, prepare to be happy. It's December. It is Henry time. This is when he thrives. This is when he just breaks out. He is going to put an exclamation point on the fact that he's going after that rushing title. He's going to try and get that rushing title locked up long before the end of the season. And then the bounce back. I talked about it a little bit already. He needs a get right game. Russell Wilson against the New York Jets throws for 350 yards, and count him out again. Uno, dos, tres, 3 TDs, at least 3 TDs against the New York Jets. Big week for Russell Wilson. And you know the worst part about it is, in my home league, my most important league, missed the playoffs. Just didn't happen for me this year. COVID kicked my butt. Injuries kicked my butt. But my quarterback, and I've been eyeing this up all season, my quarterback was Russell Wilson. Oh, I was salivating for that week 1 matchup if I had it. Nope. So, bygones be bygones. It happens. So, let's get into game picks this week. All right. My lock of the week is that game. Seattle over the New York Jets. They came close last week. It's not happening this week. Can't. No, there's just no way. There's no way. It would take a damn Christmas miracle for an Adam Gase team to be able to knock off that offensive powerhouse in Seattle with that bad of a defense. I don't care if you fire your defense coordinator. I don't care who you put in charge. That's my lock. I'm standing behind it. My other games this week, I'm taking the Bucks over the Vikings. Minnesota just can't figure out if they're for real or they're for not. And the Bucks are coming off a bye. I think they come back and make a statement. The Cardinals bring the Giants back down to reality for at least this week. They take over they beat the Giants, trying to keep pace in that NFC West. And for the Thursday night game tonight, the Rams over the Patriots. And I don't even think it's going to be a close game tonight. So, those are my game picks, my bold predictions. It's time to run out the clock. Let's talk about quarterbacks. I'm sorry, and you guys can please come at me in the comments, questions, whatnot, if you disagree with me. But it is one Patrick Mahomes and then everyone else. Stop saying that Lamar Jackson and Kyler Murray, they're not. Okay? Patrick Mahomes is not Lamar Jackson, is not Kyler Murray. Yes, he is a mobile quarterback, and yes, he can run. But he is generational. He's a generational talent. And these multi-athlete quarterbacks, scrambling quarterbacks, they're not him. It's great that Lamar Jackson won an MVP. Patrick Mahomes has 2. Patrick Mahomes also has a Super Bowl. Right now, seeing the way things playing out, I don't see Lamar Jackson winning a Super Bowl anytime soon. They're not even on the same level. So when these people talk about the next group of elite quarterbacks, stop putting Lamar Jackson in an argument. Stop using the term quarterback. You want to say the next athlete? That's great. Go for it. Kyler Murray, this is what happens with mobile quarterbacks. It's a tale of 2 seasons. At one point, he looked like he was going to put himself in the running for the MVP this year. And he got hurt, and now he just looks like a different player. He's not running. He seems a little skittish to get contact. And unfortunately, that's what happens with these mobile athletic quarterbacks. It takes 1 or 2 big injuries, and they're just never the same QB. Now, they can evolve. They can improve their game, and that's great, and I hope they do. But Patrick Mahomes is already there. We've talked about it multiple times. It's just a transcendent different level for him. It's almost like the game stands still. And it's an amazing thing to be able to watch. I'm not a Chiefs fan at all. Usually the guy that gets success too easily is not somebody I root for, but man, he makes it hard not to. It's really been a pleasure watching this kid, and I can't wait. I mean, we're only in year 3. I cannot wait to see what's to come. Next, we're going to talk about the COVID situation. Okay. Yeah, we've talked about COVID the whole time. I'm preparing all commissioners out there because this is going to happen, and I guarantee you, in most of your leagues. Someone is going to lose in the playoffs because of COVID. And what I mean by that is, well, they were smart and they stacked. Who can we use? We'll use the Kansas City Chiefs as an example. Okay. They were smart. They stacked. So they have Kelsey, Mahomes, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and it's the championship game, and all of a sudden there's a COVID outbreak. And God, knock on wood, hear it. Okay. I'm not wishing that to happen. But be prepared. All of a sudden the players are on their team, or two or three of their players on their team come down with COVID, and they're gonna, cry and pout and boo-hoo because that's why they lost this year. Well, guess what? Most commissioners that I know, I hope all commissioners that watch this show, they're out there. I'm hoping you prepped your leagues appropriately. It's a weird year. And I said it before, I said it in an earlier show. If you're in the playoffs, if you have the ability to win a championship in this year, you really should get an extra feather in your cap because it's been a year like no other. It's been exhausting, it's been taxing. This is something that we can't prepare for like we normally do. It doesn't matter how much studying you do or how many numbers you look at. You can't prepare when it's an hour before game time and all of a sudden your player gets put on the COVID list and you got to scramble to put somebody in his place. So it's just my thought to the commissioners that are out there. And again, a thank you to all commissioners that run leagues. It's a thankless job. We don't get enough credit for it. But and then I have two, since we're only doing one show. I have another one, and then we're going to get to the final kneel down. This was my final kneel down, but we're just going to put it in the normal section. Philadelphia. Wow, to think that it's only a few years removed since they rose, held high the Lombardi Trophy, rose to the top. I asked a good friend of mine this question this week, but I've been thinking about the whole concept of the three main figures in Philadelphia, and that is Howie Roseman, the GM, the coach, Doug Peterson, and of course, the now benched quarterback, Carson Wentz, and whether or not they are in Philadelphia for 2021. I'm going to give you my thoughts. I think Howie Roseman stays. I think he has a little bit of a different capacity. I think maybe there's some changes, some, restructuring of titles and roles, but I think he's still there. I'm not so sure about Doug Peterson. I think it'll depend on how the rest of the season plays out. I think he gets through the year. I think he starts 2021 as the coach, primarily because of the issues with the offensive line and stuff like that. So I think he gets a chance to come back and start. But man, Philly needs to start hot next year because I do believe he could be one of those coaches that doesn't get to finish the season in 2021 if Philly comes out flat again. But now let's talk about the quarterback, Carson Wentz, whether or not he's in Philadelphia. My buddy said he thinks he is. I honestly don't know because I can see both directions or both paths. However, for Carson Wentz, I hope he's not. This guy, this franchise has done no favors to him. And I'm not saying it's intentional, but at this point, how much more of a maligned quarterback can you be? They move up to draft you. You're brought in. You're going to be the new face of the franchise, and things are looking great. You're having an MVP season. You get hurt, and your backup comes in and wins the Super Bowl. So now the questions start to answer. Well, do we need, Carson Wentz? We have Foles. That all comes about. The whole whether or not, you know, Carson Wentz, the debate. Would the Philly have won if Carson Wentz was still the quarterback? Should we trade him now? Should we pay him? So forth and so on. Is he injury prone? All these questions have been there ever since the midway point of that almost MVP season, the year that they won the Super Bowl. These questions have been flourishing. So now I say, well, it's not that it was done intentionally, but for the love of God, you go to work every day and you see a statue of your backup. Your backup who won a Super Bowl and now has a statue outside. Little much? A little premature, Philly? Maybe, maybe not. But how would you take it if you're in an athletic position where they say, well, hey, you got hurt and your backup won the game, but we want you to be our starter. Don't mind. We're going to put a statue up to that guy, though. Makes it a little difficult, I think, to go to work. Now, let's add another wrinkle to it. This year, in the second round, they draft Jalen Hurts. Well, why? Well, they said they talked to Carson. There's nothing to be worried about. It was more they wanted a wrinkle. They wanted that backup. They wanted that support. And right away, as any team or any franchise would, as soon as things got a little rocky, and I'm sorry, I'm not an Eagles fan. If anything, I can't stand Philadelphia. They're in my division. But as soon as things got rocky, no one really wanted to make note of the fact like there is no offensive line in Philadelphia. And look, I've had teams in Washington where we had offensive line issues. This is our offensive line issues. This is straight out dumpster fire decimation of an offensive line. Absolutely. But yet it all seemed to go on Carson Wentz. And now he's been benched. We're going to bench him. We're going to see what we have. And Hurts going to try for a spark. So now you're supposed to come back again. It's like getting spit in your face. For Carson Wentz's sake, because I really do think he can have a great NFL career, I hope he gets the opportunity somewhere else. I think he needs a fresh start. And I think if he gets a fresh start, I believe that we might get to see the best of Carson Wentz yet to come. So it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out. So now it's time to go to the final kneel down. Why? Why did I change things this week? Well, we're going to go to a couple of my good friends. Earlier this year, I did a collaboration with my buddies over at the Couch GMs. And I am asking anybody who watches this, and when I put my postings up, I'm going to put it in the titles, to go to Instagram and like the Couch GMs. And not only like, but I want you to tweet them. I want you to go at them because they do this thing where they pick all the games every week, and the loser has to do some sort of a punishment. Whether it's eating a spicy pickle, whatever, or a flaming pickle, or my good buddy Cody had to drink a soda through his sock, worn sock. I gagged a little when I saw that. But this week, they all tied. They all have the same record. So, in my opinion, and we believe there should be a triple punishment. And one of my friends suggested pillow fight. And I think that's a great idea. So, here at the First and 10 Club, we are willing to sponsor the purchase of the nightgowns for my three buddies to wear during this pillow fight. But they want to try and, in order to get this triple punishment to happen, they need their Instagram likes to go up, and they want to see it get to, I believe, 30. They're new, they're breaking out. So if you're not friends with them or you don't like their show, go to Instagram, the Couch GMs, listen to their podcast, great stuff. But make sure you give it a like. Make sure you direct message them and say you want to see the epic pillow fight. It's 2020. COVID is sucking the life out of all of us. What would make it better than seeing three dudes who are just absolute football fanatics have to wear nightgowns and beat each other with pillows? Epic pillow fight, triple punishment, make it happen. That's how I'm ending tonight's show. Next week we have our um, uh, special kind of lead up to our holiday episode. And we are going to have a holiday episode. As you see, we kind of changed the background a little bit. We're being a little more festive. So make sure you guys are paying attention to the show. We're going to try and get you through your fantasy playoffs and get you to win championships. If you have roster questions, lineup questions, feel free to reach out. If you haven't subscribed yet, click the subscribe button down below. Make sure you follow us. Make sure you share us. Tell your friends about us. And as always, hope you enjoyed the show. For the First and 10 Club, I'm Mark D. Let's go football.